What is up, everybody? My name is BobaTalks, and welcome to my Flash Season 4, Episode 15 post-episode Q&A review video. Now, this is where I get you guys to send in a load of questions that I wouldn't necessarily think of reviewing in a normal review, and then I go ahead and answer them. Now, I have to say, Episode 15 was my favorite episode, apart from Episode 7 of this whole season. I know a lot of people were kind of disappointed, and yes, it was 100% filler, but that doesn't necessarily mean, who cares if it's filler, because this whole episode for me is just so much better than anything else they've given us. Think about it this way. I know obviously some people would disagree with this, but all the other episodes, whether that's the We Are the Flash stuff, the forced over eccentric humor and stuff like that, all those other episodes, and people are still saying that this episode was disappointing filler and stuff. I don't understand, because this felt like what I want every episode to be like, and I know that's impossible, but wow, this was dramatic. Like, the stakes were high, and I know people getting overhyped probably because it looked like for once we were getting a really good Flash episode, and then when it actually came, I guess that's how you shouldn't overhype things, because that might ruin it a little bit for you. But regardless, for me, it is so much better than any other episode we've had, on par with episode 7, which was the Clifford DeVoe flashback episode. But before I answer your questions, guys, if you do go on to enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like button, and if you're new to this channel, why not subscribe for more videos just like this? Okay, so Joe Bell Porter asks, do you think that the mystery girl is evil? Now, this is the quote-unquote Dawn Allen mystery girl. I don't think she's evil. However, well, I'll rephrase that. I didn't think she was necessarily evil up until that very last scene we got at the end of episode 15, which is obviously got everyone talking about this character and what was that sinister look for, because it definitely was sinister or menacing or whatever you want to say, because for all the people who are saying it isn't, think about it. She's this over-eccentric girl who's been bumping into all the different members of Team Flash, being very bubbly, very just very hypery, over-friendly, everything. And then this is why I don't get why some people are saying that she's not got this kind of dark look on her face, because the very shot the camera had on her in that last second in the episode was the complete polar opposite of what she's been like, and it was just, well, as I just said, opposite. So I definitely think there's more than meets the eye than her bumping into Team Flash. It's obviously for not no reason at all. Before I theorized, oh, maybe she just wanted to meet, like the Team Flash members, because if her father's Barry Allen, she just wants to kind of get involved without screwing up the timeline through revealing who she is or whatever. But now it's making me think, like, what is going on with you, mystery girl? Do I think she could have any evil element to her? I think, of course, there's always a chance. But maybe it is a huge misdirect, because where she's like, oh, it did go well, that meeting or whatever she said, and then there was that complete opposite look on her face. That definitely hinted towards something, but maybe that is to make us all concerned about something over nothing. But I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. Now, this is more of a comment, not so much of a question, but I'd like to address it anyway, because I see a few people saying this. From Mr. J. I thought it would be a whole huge thing, but it feels like a quick fix, and DeVoe wasn't even considered. And beforehand, I don't know what message order this goes in. He was saying it's a cheap ploy of me. The damn quartz sphere is used to fix anything in a silly way. Also, the Black Quarters group seems like it matches this one lady or something else. So I'm just going to address that whole kind of message. I guess people were somewhat disappointed in this episode because of the quartz sphere fix. I kind of get where you're coming from, but for me, I think I completely get where you're coming from, I guess, because it was convenient. That solved the day, great, when everything else was at odds. But what I think is, I think I don't really care about that simple fix, because this season has been so underwhelming for me. It's so, this is Arrow season 4 of The Flash. This is bad for me. I still love, I love the show. I love the actors. I wouldn't ever say anything bad about any of that, but it's just because I know it could do so much better, and I think for this episode, for me, I didn't care about what you're saying you cared about, and other people were saying let the episode down for them, because it was so much better than all the flipping other episodes. I don't think I got overhyped for it, but yeah, I think just because it's better than all the other episodes we've had, I don't really care the fact that the solution was that they found the quartz sphere. in the Speed Force, and then, you know, that is what solved the day. However, you know, if anything, I'm kind of glad they did that, because it's like, what's going to happen with the Speed Force now that there's no Speedster in there? What are all the repercussions with this? If they don't address that, then that will insanely irritate me. So Blyboy123465, nice name, it asks, who is Jay Garrick going to train to be the next Flash? And I think there might have been a couple more questions like that, but however, this is a very talked about thing, and I might make this into a separate video. I don't know if I get the time. I might try and look into it and stuff, but I honestly don't know. No one can know for sure. I immediately thought, oh, okay, I think that might be Jesse Quick, because, you know, they said the whole thing about her, but then everyone out there on the interwebs, you know, whether it's other fellow YouTubers, are just saying that Jessie Quick doesn't need training, she doesn't need experience, blah, 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 blah. Why would she need to take over Earth 3 or be trained by Jay Garrick? Because he made the point that, you know, after he hangs up his speedster suit, well, before that, he needs to train this lady on Earth 3. But the thing is, I argue against that. Jessie Quick is quite the speedster noob. I don't think she can. Yes, she's got her own team and stuff. And that's another reason why people were thinking, why would it be Jessie Quick? I understand that, and I don't necessarily think it's Jessie Quick at all, but think about Barry after 1 year. Think how much he's learned since then. Jessie Quick, you know, isn't technically up to Jay Garrick standards, so why wouldn't he, you know, still train her? I still think that's all a possibility, but however, I still don't necessarily think it's Jessie Quick. I do think it is more likely that it could be another speedster, so whether that is somebody, everyone's talking about the Rebirth comics now, you know, with those speedster characters, it could be one of those. I think that's perfectly plausible, and I just agree with everyone who's saying as well that you would have thought they would have to start implementing some kind of Rebirth stuff at some point, kind of like what they did with the Lightning Storm. Not copy and pasting, but kind of loose adaptations from the comics, so that's what I guess the Lightning Storm was. So maybe there's more of that with like Mina and stuff, who knows. And then there's the fact that could it be the Mystery Girl? Like, so this current one we're seeing in the Flash right now on Earth 1 is like a future version of the person Jay Garrick is going back to Earth 3 to train to be a speedster. I don't know, but that I don't necessarily believe. That is way too timey-wimey, complicated stuff. You know, I just don't think so. So I think Jessie Quick works. It kind of makes sense because I still think she is a noob speedster. Yes, she's smart. Yes, she's very fast. But still, she just said to Barry, why not go back in time? Like, that made me think, oh my god, you could have screwed up time if it was up to you. But yeah, I would say 60, 65 to the other side, you know, 60, 40 or whatever. The fact that it's somebody else over Jessie Quick. So Fletcher O'Riordan asks, did you like how Iris managed to be the one with the solution? I didn't. Now, to be honest, I haven't actually thought about this until now, and I saw something the other day, but it does, like, thinking about it now that you're asking me, I think, actually, I kind of don't think I do. Obviously, they wrote it that way, it happened, so she came up with that idea, but in all reality, and I don't want to attract any Iris West haters, because I'm really not against Iris, I just don't think she would have that answer after going through Caitlyn or Killer Frost, freaking Cisco, freaking Harry. Yes, they came up with their own ideas, but Iris, the one who literally doesn't have any sciencey, Y&C, qualification-y, bolification-y, whatever the hell you want to call it, in terms of those other characters, comes up with the fact that, like, oh, you know, that one time we did, like, leave that Quartz-Sphere in the Speed Force, so, you know, you could get out, and they think it's you. And you could use that to stop this bomb with the Lightning Storm. That is, I think, you know, if you're looking at it heads-on, inaccurate character portrayal on the show. So yeah, I would say I wouldn't like that. I would have rather it come from someone else. But, you know, I didn't really care so much in the episode. I felt like it still kind of worked. But if I had to, you know, write it myself, I would have just still had all that stuff, because I really like the scene between Barry and Iris where he's like, you're my lightning rod. He's coming to her and he's exhausted. He's leaning upon her. That was beautiful, lovely, dramatic things, you know, stuff to watch. But, you know, so I would have still included that scene, but I would have then had Barry go somewhere else, or, like, you know, save Cisco to Leia or something where it would have made more sense for them to think of the sphere, because it doesn't make much sense for Iris. Elizabeth Rose asks me, what did you think about Killer Frost this episode? I really liked, the thing is, I wanted to make a video on Killer Frost a while ago, because, and I've always said this, they've completely utterly changed the character into the, this person who was literally stabbing Barry and everything, doing all these diabolical things, to somebody just because of what happened at the end of the last season. Just somehow, Killer Frost is just, I don't know, completely different, basically tame. And, whenever she takes over, she's not evil now. She's just like, okay, I'll work with you guys. They really, I'm not hating, I really am not, but they did literally force that through writing it down. They didn't gradually get to that because of an excuse. They just changed Killer Frost. The reason why I added that in, and it's not technically answering your question, is because I don't really like what they've done with Killer Frost in Season 4 at all. Just because they've just jumped the character change without much explanation. She's, as I said, she's completely tame now, really. My example of this is when Killer Frost, takes over when Team Flash needs her. Instead of being like what she should be like in Season 3, where, I don't know, she'll cause problems, she's like, Team Flash, oh fine, I'll work with you, kind of thing. It's like, so she's acting a bit bothered, but fine. It's just not right. However, I will say that I did like that Killer Frost was concerned about Caitlyn. It kind of was sweet, and added that element to Killer Frost, a bit of sincerity to her, and it's interesting that she cares about Katie. So I can't wait for them to explore that. But it would have made sense if that started way back when. At the beginning or end of Season 3 and at the beginning of Season 4, that adapted Killer Frost to now work with Team Flash all calmly now, compared to actually a murderous Killer Frost, which she technically should be. Okay, so this is quite an interesting question from Snickers Panda. Hi, Bobo, I recently subscribed after watching for a while, and I have to say you create amazing content. Thank you so much for that, dude. I really appreciate the support, especially on Flash videos. My question is, what do you think will happen with the Speed Force now that the Sphere is no longer in there? Could they be setting up the villain for the next season? Now, I kind of briefly answered this earlier, but what could happen? I definitely think it has to be addressed, because as I've already stated in this video, it would annoy me if it's only what they addressed in episode 15, where Barry was like, what do you think's gonna happen with the Speed Force now, or something, or will the Speed Force be okay? I can't remember off the top of my head. And then Jay was just like, oh, if it isn't now, we'll find out soon enough, or something. I definitely think that the Speed Force has to do, or will do something this season. If not, as I said, it'll be pretty bad, because the Sphere is quite simply no longer in there. That was the only thing that, this was the very ending of Season 3, so this is why it's a huge deal to me. The only thing that stopped potentially the world from splitting into two, as Barry said, with that lightning storm that comes with the Sphere or a speedster not being in that prison. So I think the Speed Force is going to have to assert some kind of, punishment or something, or seek out something, since, all that it did is zap a nuclear bomb or whatever. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see. I've got too many ideas that are floating around that I can't definitively say one of them. I would like to see something happen this season. Yet again, I don't want it to be basically the same dilemma we had at the end of Season 3, just popping up again now. So, what are we going to do? Put another Sphere in there? I don't think that should happen. I think something bigger should happen. And if it does set up the next villain, that would be very interesting, but we'll have to wait and see. So Josh Green asks, what did you think of the acting this episode? I thought it was incredible. Obviously, I am mainly talking about... Everyone else was great, but I'm mainly talking about Grant Gustin. I think... he's at his best when he, as his character, the Flash, has the weight of the world on his shoulders. I think moments like that, I think he is such a good actor. John Wesley Shipp and everyone else, like Violet, they're all great. They were really feeling, I was really feeling the tension and the odds against fixing this from them as well. But I have to say, Grant Gustin, man, what a fantastic job he did in episode 15. Jay Turner asks, would hurling the bomb and the Speed Force have taken away the Speedster's powers forever? Just like they said in the episode. I mean, I guess we can't know truly, but probably. You think about it, you're tossing a nuclear bomb into something that has not effects just on one reality, like one Earth, but the whole multiverse. So yeah, I think throwing the bomb would have most probably destroyed the very thing that fuels all the species throughout the whole multiverse. Everyone would have lost their speed, probably more or less at once. I don't know how, if it's got that time ripple effect to catch up with them, but probably... would have done something to catastrophic proportions. Not maybe more than just taking away the speedster's speed, because the Speed Force, I think, might serve some other important structures throughout the multiverse than just the speed. Maybe other things, other disastrous things would happen without the Speed Force. But that is all the questions I have time to answer in this Flash Q&A video. I hope you like this, guys. This was my first one. So I will try and keep up with these videos instead of reviews. I really enjoyed answering your questions, so be sure to ask even more next week for episode 16. So apart from that, guys, if you did enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button. As always, your support just means the world to me. And if you're new to this channel, why not subscribe for more videos just like this, because I will be doing them if you guys continue enjoying them. If you want to follow me on social media, guys, you can do so by clicking on the links up here. But apart from that, everybody, that has been the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.